Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Sunday afternoon episode of Ted's Booze Cellar with me, your most gracious host. Another episode as well with, as you can see, one of our old guest hosts, Phil.
Hello, pleasure as always.
So Phil has not been on the show in a while, and to be honest, obviously I've not been doing much episodes in the last couple of weeks. Just haven't really had the mental energy for it and just needed a bit of rest. But we've got a drink here today that I thought I'd reviewed. You thought I'd reviewed. Then we just looked on my YouTube studio just now. I'm actually really surprised I've never done this before because we always talk about this particular Scotch, and it's obviously I think it's probably your favourite or one of your top three.
I think so, yes.
And you're always going on about how much you love it, and to the similar degree that I would say I go on about Aran 18-year single-aged malt. So why don't you give it a quick introduction, because I know quite a few people will know about this drink already, but I'd rather you say it because you bought it.
Sure, this is Talisker, the brewery that is found on the Isle of Skye in the north of Scotland.
Yep.
It is brewed exclusively with water running down the burns on the island, and they would never brew it with any other water, and on the very rare occasion that there's no rain on the Isle of Skye, they stop all brewing production.
Yep.
Because they're so committed to using just that water. Last time that happened was 1942, so that's how much rain they get on the Isle of Skye.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the long and the short of it is it's aged in old sherry casks imported from France and Spain. So it gives it that sort of lighter note. This one here is aged 10 years. As I said, I thought Ted had reviewed a non-aged one before, but apparently not.
I don't really tend to review a lot of non-aged whiskies because I looked at the single malt ones that I've done in the past. I've only done 4 episodes on those, and it's obviously the Aran 18-year single-aged malt, and then it's the 5, 12. I think it was the 10, 12, and 18 or 15-year aged ones from Glenfiddich. Those are the only other ones I've done.
Yeah. I bought this bottle back in 2020, just as COVID hit, thinking it would be a short-term thing. And then I just never opened it until a couple of months ago when I opened it to finally celebrate winning a rowing competition and advancing up a grade. So, yeah, I've always loved Talisker ever since I went to the Isle of Skye and visited the distillery and got to try a few. So, yeah, this was a good compromise in terms of price and quality, I think, being 10 years rather than the 30 years.
Also, while it does have a plastic cap at the top, which kind
Yes.
of gives away half a point for the design of the bottle,
Yeah.
it is cork at the end of the day, and that label, considering it has a really nicely detailed sort of sketching on the front of the Isle of Skye, I actually have to rate the rest of it really highly, so I'm going to give the rating of the label and the bottle a very highly respectable 9 out of 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I would go with that as well. It's classic, but not in a try-hard way. I particularly like the sort of got a bit of a nautical look to it with the classic monster design, and also, interestingly, the longitude and latitude of the location of the distillery on the island.
That's a nice touch.
That is a nice touch. So yeah, if it hadn't been for the longitude and latitude, I would have given it an 8, but I think the long and latitude give it a 9.
Yeah,
it's really just the cork at the top with the plastic topping.
As a much more educated man than me, and as someone who has like an eye for the nautical, I imagine you would appreciate that quite a bit. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice little touch. It's like something that you get in Famous Five or Swallows and Amazon's book or something.
That's totally true. All right, well, what would you rate it out of 10 then? 9?
Yeah, I think so in terms of the appearance of the bottle.
All right, nice. So we've got out the generic whiskey glasses that I got off of Amazon for this. So why don't you pour yourself some first?
Oh, thank you.
And then I'll pour. And then, actually, considering you bought it, why don't you do the honours and pour me some?
Sure.
There you go. And it's also got like this really nice kind of like gold amber colour that's like, it's very sort of like classy, it's very classical, but it's not too garish to look at. It's like a really nice, smooth, almost caramelly kind of colour, actually. So
it is, yeah.
Nice. So let's give it a quick sniff during the glass and see what our first impressions are really like. Very floral.
Yeah.
Almost like, kind of smells like a mildew flower, but with like a vanilla edge to it.
I was thinking heather, which would make sense if it's run down all the hills of the Isle of Skye.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, it's got a bit of heather, For me, at least, it's got a bit of mildew, but that might just be my senses. But yeah, overall, really plain sort of nose, but it's like very sort of strong and vibrant in like how full-bodied it is.
Yes.
So.
Bear in mind, this bottle has been open for several months now.
Yes, exactly. So it's not going to be the freshest, but I will probably have to do a like re-review maybe in a year's time of like a freshly opened bottle just to give a sort of a more up-to-date review. But I think, as it is, for a bottle that's been open for a little while, the nose is still pretty good. There's a bit of underlying harshness, like you said, it has been open for a while, but it doesn't really spoil the flavour of the nose at all. So I'm going to give the nose a like an 8.5, or actually, yeah, 8.5 for me. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I would probably give it a little bit. I'll probably give it like I'll give it an 8. I think, yeah, because it's good. It's just not. It's understated, I think you can say.
Okay, I think that sounds about right. Yeah, it's kind of like just very knows what it is, but it's not sort of like too garish, which I kind of appreciate, and I feel like it suits the flavour profile of Scotch a bit more.
Yeah.
So that does smell nice.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Alright, so before we obviously drink this and see what it really is like, we'll obviously have to have our palate cleanser, which you basically wolfed down before we even started recording, so that was very professional. And remember, when you're on a night out drinking, remember to stay hydrated and have some food. And also, recommended, maybe have some cheese or milk before you go out drinking, because then your body will be able to more safely process the alcohol. So, that's actually an old trick. It's like really well recommended to like eat a bit of cheese or like milk before you go out drinking.
That explains why I so rarely get hungover.
Yeah.
Because I eat so much cheese and milk. Oh.
Yeah, just have like cheesy chips before you go out drinking, and then hey presto.
Nice.
Alright. Bottoms up, and to everyone at home, have a good week ahead.
Awesome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, in stark contrast to the nose, because I always forget it with Talisker, it's obviously extremely smooth for a Scotch, but it's also got this really sort of mellow, smooth oakiness to it that kind of undercuts everything really nicely. It's very persistent throughout the flavour when you're sipping it down, but it doesn't spoil any of it for me because the other flavours just more so complement it. What do you think?
Yes, I feel that it starts off really smooth as it comes on, and then just a fraction of a second after it enters your mouth, you get a sudden almost burst of fiery intensity to it.
Yeah, there's this kind of sort of like sensation of sort of watching chopped oak burn in a fire while you're sort of living in a house that's made out of oak or something like that. It's got a very sort of deep flavour to it, but it's not like overwhelming or anything. It's just very intense.
Yes, it's like putting a really lovely fresh blueberry in your mouth and feeling it pop.
Yeah, it's that kind of sort of level of intensity for sure. And it's kind of complemented, like I said, with a bit of a vanilla-y flavour at the end. There's a bit of a floralness kind of at the start that kind of gives you a bit of a false dawn of an impression of what it's going to be like, but not in a bad way. It just kind of sort of like lulls you into like the flavours. And overall, yeah, it's very warming, like a Scotch obviously would be,
yes,
but in a very smooth way. It does burn as it goes down, but nowhere near as harshly as some other Scotches that I've had in the past. And I feel like when people have preconceptions or fears about trying whiskey, I think they're usually thinking about the harsher Scotches out there. But if you are looking to get into Scotch for the first time, obviously this is like the cheapest Scotch you can get, but like it is, I would say, one of the smoothest ones.
Yeah.
So like if you're willing to pay like an extra like 10 to 15 quid for a bottle of this stuff, it's well worth it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you keep an eye out, you can find, I got this bottle of 10-year-old Talisker for £30. So
that's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
usually it's like about, in the places I've seen it, it's usually like anywhere between 35 to 50 quid. So what I was saying is, like, if you don't mind spending an extra 10 or 15 quid compared to what you usually get in the supermarkets, it is good. But like Phil said, do keep an eye out for it for sales, because it usually is on offers when there is big sales going on.
Yeah. And if you happen to be abroad in a place like Germany, where you have, well, in Germany there's no alcohol tax whatsoever, you can get really good I've bought Talisker and other British alcohols in Germany for much cheaper than you get them here in the UK. So.
Nice. And yeah, I think that kind of sums up my feelings about the flavour. I will say the texture, it's so smooth. It's like almost like syrupy liqueur, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, the really smooth. Even, to be honest with you, I don't know why I'm saying this, but the liqueur they have in cherry liqueur chocolates in those Belgian chocolate sets, the actual liqueur, the taste of it I really don't like, but the texture is really nice, and so I feel like the texture of that is really similar to this. It's kind of like smooth and sort of watery, like a Scotch, but it's got that sort of thick viscousness and sort of like just deep richness to the texture that like a liqueur would.
Yes, it reminds me a bit of the German herbal liqueurs that I've sometimes got you.
Yeah, but like just a little bit more lighter in texture.
A bit lighter and also a much nicer colour.
Yeah, definitely. Those are the German liqueurs are a funny beast because like they always look bizarre and sound weird to like someone who isn't from Germany, but they usually taste pretty good. So, but yeah, what would you rate the flavour for 10-year-old Talisker out of 10? Considering that obviously it has been open for a few months.
I would give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think for me. Yeah, I think an 8.5 out of 10 is fair as well. Maybe it's skewed by the fact that, like you said, it's been open for a few months, so maybe it's a bit harsher than when it was fresh. But I think considering that, even though it still has been open for a few months, it is really nice and it is compulsively enjoyable. This feels like one where you could put it in a decanter for ages and it would still be nice a few years down the line for sure. So I think, as well, definitely recommend having it neat.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. It's too good to be a sort of mixer whiskey. It's not quite good enough to be a proper celebration whiskey like an Oban or an Arran or something like that. Or even a 30-year-old Talisker.
Yeah, it's more of a thing like just when you fancy a drink of whiskey to unwind after a long week, that's the kind of thing you go for.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's nicer than something like Bell's or... even though I love Famous Grouse, it is nicer than Famous Grouse.
Yeah.
But it's also not quite as nice as Arran's 18-year single-aged malt, or even the Talisker 18-year aged whiskey either. So I would say, an 8.5 out of 10. It's an elite level whiskey, but it's not quite there to being like an icon level or all-timer, because all-timer is a 10 out of 10, but it's pretty close to that.
Interestingly, little anecdote, we broke this bottle open while we were out camping with the rowing club.
Oh, nice.
And we had a bit of a campfire going, and we'd all got smashed and drunk about 2/3 of the bottle. And then I had just a little bit left in my glass. We'd also been drinking a load of vodka. And I chucked the last dram of whiskey on the campfire, and it blew up in a huge cloud of green flame. The vodka made the flame blue, really. So.
There must be some sort of chemical reaction.
There's got to be something, yeah.
Yeah, that is really weird. I wonder what would happen if you threw gin in it.
Depend on the alcohol content, because obviously the alcohol content of this. Hang on, what is the alcohol?
You'd probably like burst like deep mauve or like purple, and then you'd just like hear the disembodied voice of Charles Dickens talking about social degradation in Victorian Britain.
Marley was dead to begin with.
Yeah, and
no doubt whatever about that. Speaking of alcohol percentage, this is 45.8, so higher than your average sort of shop bought whiskey.
Although I do still remember it now. Around the time of my 28th birthday, my main gift for that birthday was from my brother, which was like, hang on, how long were we there? That was it. It was a 2-night and 3-day hiking trip to Cumbria, and while we were there on the first night, we had a Scotch that was 60.1%, and it was like locally made in Cumbria in the north of England. And it's and obviously England's not quite as well regarded for its whiskies as Scotland, but oh my god, it was good. Okay. I mean, it was strong as hell. You felt drunk after smelling it, but woo, it was good. It was similar to this actually, but just a bit more fiery, and like it had like a sort of a bit of more of a flowery edge to it. But oh man, it was good. So yeah, I think 8.5 out of 10. That seems a pretty roundabout way of describing it, with a slightly harsh aftertone that's kind of offset by the fact that it's quite vanilla-y and a really nice oaky undertone. And a very complex and interesting texture, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, that's not the only thing that this video is going to be about. So, the person I've been dating and I had a nice chilled out movie night here recently, got some takeaways, had some beers. One of the beers we got from Sainsbury's wasn't quite to our liking. Now, I like myself a pudding beer, and I like our old friends at Northern Monk. They're a very, very solid and reliable brewery. They've never given me a beer that I thought was like less than like a 5 out of 10. Like, they're very consistent. It's always like 5 to like 8.5 out of 10. Like, they're very, very consistent. But they had this beer there recently. I might do a video of myself reviewing it at some point in the future, but because I've already had it, I wanted to get your impression of it. And it's quite an interesting concept, actually. Now, Northern Monk have done pudding beers before. They did a really good one with Aunt Bessie's. I think it was like rhubarb crumble and custard flavoured. And don't put it in the Titanic glass. You're just going to want to drink this out of the can.
Okay, fair enough.
But trust me, you're going to want to save the Titanic glass for the nice beers that we got for tonight. But if you just pass it over, I'll show it to the camera. This is Northern Monk, and this is their peanut, butter and jam collaboration stout, and it's brewed with Toast Brewing. And I think I might have reviewed one of Toast Brewing's beers before. If I haven't, I have tried their stuff before. It is actually pretty good. And this is quite strong as well. It's a stout, and it's 8.4%. So it's quite hefty. Like a Guinness, for example, which is like the most common stout that people drink around the world, that's only like what, like I think 4 or I think somewhere between 4 to 4.5%. It's like not that strong at all. But this has got a bit of a whack to it. And it says on here, sweet as a nut. It says a rich PB&J stout, peanut butter and jelly, made with leftover loaves from Toast Brewing, craft brewed with northern pride and jam packed with sweet nutty flavours, fresh from the north. So, what I'll say just really briefly, we don't have to go into like a full review of this, but I do like the art design and the mixture of colours on the can, so I'll give the can a very brief and very solidly respectable 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I would probably go the same. It's very Germanic colours. Literally, it's black, red and gold.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Funny. I'd just like to point out that, I brought you the Scottish whiskey.
Yeah.
And you're wearing jeans and a hoodie. Meanwhile, you've given me a peanut butter and jam beer, and I am wearing a woolly jumper, hunting jacket, and red corduroys.
Yeah.
So we're wearing the opposite clothes that are suited to the drinks that we had.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're completely going 180 on each other.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Let's have a quick sniff of it, see what your first impression's like.
Okay.
Well, that's an interesting reaction. I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
What I will say is, you can literally only smell strawberry. It smells of nothing but strawberry.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh god. And is it like sort of that kind of fake candified strawberry?
Not really. It does actually smell like strawberry jam, so highly concentrated but sweetened strawberry. So it may not be terrible.
Okay. What would you rate the nose really briefly out of 10 then?
6.
Not too bad.
Yeah, not terrible.
All right. Quick taste test then.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so you can see why me and my date didn't really catch on to this.
Oh, the aftertaste.
Yeah, the aftertaste is so harsh.
Yeah, you've got the sort of sickening, cloying sweetness of strawberry. You've got a weird texture from the peanut butter, which you can't taste peanut butter at all. I don't think, anyway.
I mean, I had a peanut butter stout from Tailgate Brewery once, which I reviewed years ago, and that was really good. But this. Your reaction is just kind of really implying that this isn't the case here. No,
it's not. It almost feels like there's something in there that should be chewing, but there isn't anything to chew.
Oh, that do. Like what? One of those like Chinese glass, tea glass, fizzy drinks. Because like they obviously have the jellyish bit.
Oh gosh, I tell you, when I was in high school, we had a project where we had to sort of make kind of our own homemade food and sell it as a restaurant with a business plan and everything.
Yeah.
And some people made boba tea.
Right.
I was actually sick.
God.
In one of the bushes in the school playground. So yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Really briefly, what are your thoughts on it? You don't have to finish it if you don't want to, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't mind throwing it away. But what are your general thoughts on the flavour, and what would you give it out of 10?
I feel like you can't really taste the peanut butter at all. I've had some peanut butter flavoured stuff, and it was alright. The peanut butter version of the white chocolate liqueur from Aldi that you reviewed the other day was okay.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's good.
But this one, you can't taste the peanut butter, and bizarrely, other than the initial sort of burst and the smell, you can't really taste the jam either. So all you're left with is a really strange texture and a harsh aftertaste.
Yeah, it's really strange. It just feels like there's flavours in there that should work well together, but they're just not brewed together in a way that works at all.
No.
It's bizarre. So what would you rate it out of 10?
I would give it a 4. It's not undrinkable.
Yeah.
It's just not something I would ever get for myself, and I don't really know when you would drink it, because it's not something that you would drink to get drunk.
No.
It's not something that you would drink. Its purpose really is to be a sort of daft gag at a party.
I think you could get drunk on it, but like it's not really nice enough to do so, and it's also just too like out there of a flavour to do so. I mean, if I'm getting drunk, I want to enjoy my alcohol, but like if I'm getting drunk, then I tend to go for slightly more straightforward, simpler flavours. Why do you keep drinking it? You clearly don't like it. But you don't have to like torture yourself. Hang on, just to give people an impression, I'm going to drink it and see what my impression is like. For someone who apparently can't take enough bloody punishment.
Yeah.
To
be fair, I did eat that expired quiche you gave me years ago.
Yeah, why did we make that video?
I don't know.
That was my idea anyway, so I don't know why I'm asking you in a general sense, but like that was such a bizarre video. It's like only like a minute and like 30 seconds long as well. And it's just like us both clearly a bit sort of like...
We had a few.
Yeah, both clearly a bit steaming, bit sweaty because we've been walking around town all day.
Yeah. And
I just gave you like day-old quiche. I was like, why did I record that?
Yeah.
That was also the same night we reviewed that really strong Polish mead as well.
Yes.
Which was actually really good.
That was really good.
That was really nice. But yeah, 3.5 out of 10 for this. Not very nice. But again, like Phil said, it's not totally undrinkable, to be fair. So I think that kind of sums up our thoughts on today's drinks of choice pretty well. Do you have any other closing thoughts?
Only that, if ever you go to the Isle of Skye, the Talisker distillery is well worth a visit. You might need subtitles for the tour guide though, because he had such a thick northern Scottish accent, even I was struggling to understand him.
Yeah, and you've got a Scottish mum and you know the Scottish dialect quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely recommended. But also, like, just generally speaking, I've never been there, but I know the Isle of Skye is just naturally very pretty.
Indeed, yeah. Outside of tourist season, the sheep population outnumbers the human population 50-1.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like, share and subscribe. If you have any particular thoughts about what we said, either in general or in agreement or disagreement, let us know. Additionally, if you have any suggestions for drinks we or myself should review in the future, or any other general ideas for video formats, again, comment section down below, please. And if you did like this video, obviously, like, share and subscribe. But until next time, have fun, stay safe with whatever you're doing, don't do anything we wouldn't do. Wash your hands, drink responsibly, know your limits, and we'll see you guys at the bar next time on Ted's Booze Cellar. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Hopefully not as with a drink that's
Yeah.
as horrible as this. Ugh.
I like to smear a bit of whiskey in my moustache so that I keep smelling it.
Is that a general fashion thing, or is that just a you thing?
It used to be a fashion thing, like you would dab some whiskey behind your ears as well as a bit of a scent thing. It's like sort of deodorant, essentially. And most perfumes have alcohol in them, so it only makes sense.
I feel like a cool dude.
Yeah.